end
Mm-hmm.
for like an hour and a half, then this 8-hour thing will be done in like a month and a half.
Nice.
That's all it takes. I can do that. I can do that. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe not. We'll figure it out.
All right. So I can like go throw that in Discord too.
This is one of those tricks where I accidentally closed Discord in order to open Discord.
Oh no.
Let's see if I don't do that this time. Boom.
There you go. Look
Nailed
at
it.
you. Look at you. You're becoming an internet professional.
Pop out the chat.
There you go.
I still don't know how to do that part.
You go to Rhett. You go to my
You
go,
have no idea. I struggled like.
go to my
so
channel.
hard.
Go to my channel.
Okay, it says you're offline.
Yeah, it shouldn't because I see myself live. Like I'm looking at me right now and it says live.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're online.
All
You're
right.
definitely
So
streaming.
go to the chat. Click the Netgear. Go down.
Okay,
Switch to
hold-
non-mod settings.
I don't see chat at all because it just updated to you being live. Let me refresh the page.
Weird. Your internet must be real hella jank today.
Sounding clear at least.
Yeah, that's good.
I have no chat at all.
Well,
Jesus
that's-
Christ.
That's so weird.
Oh, wait. Watch now. Oh, okay. There's the chat.
Okay, yeah, we got John in there. I see John typing. Okay, now switch to
I'm gonna
non-mod
do-
settings.
Now,
There
how
you
do I
go.
do that?
There you go. You go down to the gear.
Yeah.
Click
Wait.
the gear.
I clicked the sword and turned on mod setting. I have to go back.
Oh my god. You're the
Okay.
You're the dumbest internet person.
Okay, there. I found pop-out chat.
Oh my god. It's oh god.
Listen.
I just heard Rhett say "listen" and then nothing.
And then nothing.
I think Twitch's layout is extremely bad.
It's so terrible.
Okay.
They keep changing shit that doesn't need to be changed. It's why, like, fucking Frankerfaces, like, literally tries its best to correct the dumb shit Twitch keeps doing.
Yeah.
Listen.
Listen.
That's the new trend is we're going to have audio emotes.
Yeah, there you go.
It's me saying listen and then one of you saying Symphogear is a cool thing.
But I'm never going to be the one to say that.
No, you already did. On the first episode you talked about
That's
it.
true. You did.
I asked you to repeat it so I could get a clean take.
All right, I need to go edit that podcast.
Scrub
now.
that.
I need to scrub that out. Need to go back and rewrite history. It's the American way.
Aw,
The Simple Gear G effect.
Christ.
Ah.
I had some fun with that birthday.
They had that fucking live stream.
It's almost your birthday. It's almost your birthday, Polly.
Is it?
Got
No,
any
we don't
plans?
talk about Polly's birthday this year especially.
We don't talk about my birthday because only Hibiki matters now. That's how this goes. It's like, like we finally found a suitable replacement. 19 years worth of
I'm trying to
friendship.
care for
Just flush it. Just flush it.
Now wait, Polly, how have we known each other for 19 years if you're about to turn 17?
Exactly.
I'm trying to care about friends' birthdays for the first time.
Oh,
That's my deal.
Oh, that's your new thing this
That's
year.
my-
Is
that's
trying
my-
to. I'm
my new
trying to
thing.
care about friends' birthdays. It's a real-
Yeah, I mean, I think that's nice. I think that's
real-
growth.
it's a
I put it
fun
on my
way-
calendar.
Yeah,
Now I'm
you're responsible.
you and Rets.
There you go. The only two that
Rets
really
is-
matter.
Yep, I remember Rets was on the 13th.
Yep.
Just like, cool.
There you go. Look at you.
I can easily remember that because
Because Hibiki's is
Monty's
also on the
birthday.
13th?
Monty's birthday is January 10th, which was the same as Anna's birthday. So it's and then Reds is 3 days later, so it's a very easy to remember chunk.
Hey Taylor, how's it going?
Taylor.
Trying to not die for hearing one more mention of Hibiki. I really want to throw myself out the window.
It was
right
a
now.
particularly dense last couple days, I think.
I mean, should I have just posted a warning saying, please turn off my retweets right now?
I turned that shit off Friday.
Yeah.
I turned your retweets off. No, I turned your retweets off like Thursday, I think.
Oh my god.
Like, I was just like, there's no way I'm suffering through this. Man, look, okay? This is this is an extreme reaction to people being pissy at me for being excited about things and posting about them.
Aww.
And then like, okay, Rhett, go post a bunch of Sympho gear and literally nobody says a word.
That sucks. That shit's garbage.
It is. But it's like it's one of those things that leaves an impression. It's like I can't change the way my mind works about that, okay?
I'm sorry.
I get you.
There you go. So long as it's understood, it's like I don't give a shit that it's Hibiki. It's more of just like, wow, people have gotten real pissy at me for liking things in the past, and it left a bad taste.
That sucks. And that's just something, that's sort of a complex I think we all had a little bit of, you especially, just like being kids and being excited about weird nerd shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like that, and then learning, oh shit, I can't talk about this with people or they will get mad.
Yeah, yeah. And then like, or when you finally get into like nerd circles, like, and you do start talking about the thing that you like, but then it's not the thing that everybody else wants to talk about right now, so you should shut up.
Or you're liking it in the wrong way.
Or you're liking it in the wrong way. Yeah, like, man, people are dumb.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
Just gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
I think like saying, hey, I'm having these petty feelings and this is why I'm having them is very fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I'm not shitting on anybody's parade yet.
We've all been there. I messaged Red at one point because there was like a little period where like I was jumping in and tweeting a lot about Simple Gear for a couple days while Red was doing it, and I was like, oh boy, we are just tag teaming all of our friends right now. This is great.
That's don't worry. You both have had your retweets muted for quite a while.
No, but John's was just on main. Like his brand of Simple Gear posting is totally different than mine, where he's just like, so which of these characters is more likely to cheat on the other one? And I'm just like, I think you might be missing the point of the show, John.
That shit cracked me up. That was funny.
Good.
So who would it be, Rhett? Who would it be? Who would be
Miku.
like Miku's vote? Yeah.
Red says it's Miku.
That's where
I
I'm
think
at.
Hibiki.
Okay, but I said to John, if you think about it, in season 1, Miku found an unconscious Chris and then immediately undressed her.
Yep. Just straight up.
That's true.
And then Chris stands up and Miku goes, I didn't have any spare panties. And there's like a shot of Chris with no underwear on.
Here's the
like,
thing.
oh, this is uncomfortable.
Here's the thing. I think Hibiki is asexual.
Yeah,
And,
I agree, actually.
and they've got an agreement where, like, yo, if you want to go deal with those desires with someone, I'm totally okay with it. That's
I don't think.
That's my...
They are so poor at communicating, they absolutely have not had that kind of talk.
Yeah, you're probably right. Miku and Chris have fucked,
And that's why Miku cheated with Chris.
Yes.
Because especially because she was in the middle of like not being communicated to, because Hibiki was like being really secretive and weird, and then this beautiful Chris just like dropped into her lap and she's like, oh, hi there. Oh, here, let me help you. Oh wow. Oh, damn it, Rhett convinced me.
Welcome to Sockscast,
Well,
episode 123. Broadcasting to you from beautiful Sock Station in downtown Polyland. Hope everybody out there is well. We are, of course, brought to you as always by Moon Pies. Moon Pies, we never forgot.
Oh my god. That's grim.
There's another funny joke that I was going for there, but somebody subbed at that exact moment.
Oh, no.
I'm done.
Funny joke.
I'm done. So my joke was before the fart made the better joke.
I thought your joke was it was just 9/11 2 days ago.
Oh my god.
Well, that's the first part of the joke. I've got you in the first half, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're with me. So what was the second part of the joke?
But immediately as I said, we never forgot there was one beat, then a fart sound, and then that was the perfect joke. But the backup joke was, the whole joke goes, we never forgot that Gamma's story sucks in Sonic Adventure.
Oh no!
So see, I was going for like it was John Dunk, but then we got the audible version where somebody farted, and that was way funnier. God damn! I love having a podcast where we have alerts that are just farts.
It's very good.
Oh man, I hope everybody out. Yeah.
That one just totally knocked you off guard, huh?
I was because I had my brain on the one joke that I was gonna do, and then I've never had a joke rerouted so perfectly. It's like, of course the fart's funny. You'll have to listen back. I promise you, it'll be hilarious. To my immediate virtual right, quite possibly the greatest podcast host ever made. It's Red.
Liar.
Hey.
Not the greatest podcast host ever. Co-host.
How's it going?
It's going great.
It's going fantastic. Just so
I am filled with love for Hibiki.
Yeah. We all are.
And so is my timeline.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm literally just not going to talk about anything else because everybody has me muted right now.
I went and I muted retweets in TweetDeck, but then I went to your profile and looked, and it was just like literally 48 straight hours of just that.
Yeah,
I was like, my god,
they're still trickling in. Like right when we were setting up, you may have heard me gasp because there was another really good one.
Oh my god,
the Hibiki gasp.
Yeah, it's a very identifiable gasp. You know when it's a Hibiki picture. Because it's not the sound. It's not the sound of his penis jumping through the roof. That's different. This is a very wholesome gasp.
It's love.
It's love. Like it is not penis related at all. There is not a single thing about Rhett's love of Hibiki that is penis related. Just so everybody knows. It's a very wholesome. It's a very wholesome unpenis situation.
The way you're saying it is so wholesome is so unwholesome in itself.
Thank you for explaining the joke, Rhett.
Yeah.
My Hibiki love is wholesome. My Hibiki love is wholesome shirt is causing people to ask a lot of questions that are answered by my
I know what I'm getting around for Christmas. Oh man. Okay, we do a podcast here is what we do.
We do.
Yeah, we do. To my immediate virtual left, he isn't real and he can't hurt you. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm doing well.
You doing okay?
You didn't prompt me with any... Yeah, I'm doing well. I've got tea. I've got blueberries.
Blueberries?
I'm content.
Man, nice. Get some muffins. Make some muffins and put those blueberries in.
Oh, you said the unthinkable thing.
What did I say?
John has gone on his record saying,
this.
There's no better form for a blueberry than the original. Like anything baking-wise that you do to a blueberry only ruins it.
Why do I have you? Why would
you do anything with blueberries?
Besides
eat blueberries.
That is literally that is as bad as a gamer take where you say if you got text in your game, make an RPG because everybody's just going to skip through it. Boy, just everybody today with the most reductive, plain Jane, basic bitch ass takes today. That's all I
basic 2007 type takes.
Oh God.
It wasn't text, but when I made Hunters, I was like, I really don't want to have a skip cutscene button, but people will yell at me if I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it really small up in the corner. And then it disappears after like 3 seconds anyways. It makes you watch the cutscene.
Perfect.
It was this like the most small concession I could give.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make replays like I think that's something that if you're going to do it.
Oh, I guess, yeah, there actually does have to be a skip cutscene thing.
There has to be a skip cutscene thing, at least on the replays.
Game, yeah.
At least on replays. I think that's a smart move.
I played all of Chain of Memories not realizing you could skip cutscenes with the start button.
Well,
and there are bosses that I had to refight like 20 or 30 times in that game.
Oh, have you found the have you found the skip cutscene button in Xenogears yet? Because it's really useful for when you need to refight a boss.
I don't think there's one of those, Red. I don't think that they have that or a fast text button, as Tom mentions in the chat. There's not. There's definitely not.
There is a Game Shark code to make the text go faster in Xenogears, but it crashes the game too.
I'm playing.
Oh, great! That's beautiful.
So you're gonna want to
Vita, so I can't hack it.
Oh. Well, hey, you know what? You're getting
not emulating it.
You're getting the best Xenogears experience, I think. The most true to original.
I'm getting the full Xenogears experience.
Yeah.
For all that's worth.
It's only good.
We're back in it now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. But we're going to talk to Red first. Red.
Hi.
I heard you did things. Probably, maybe.
Probably.
We probably did less than John, though.
Yeah, actually, yeah. For real.
I literally did one thing.
I did half of that thing.
Oh, damn.
I didn't finish it yet.
You didn't finish it yet? Well, good. You'll have things to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do, Rhett?
So I played a lot of Tokyo Mirage Sessions. As I mentioned on the last podcast, that I'd finished Xenoblade 2 and was like, or Xenoblade 2 Torna. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay it forward and restart another RPG that I dropped. Mm-hmm. I like this game. It's interesting.
See, like this felt like a sure hit to me after the whole Symphogear thing happened. Yeah, because I was like, oh, like this is literally the easiest recommend I could give him.
It's very dumb in the same good way.
Yeah, like it's like I watched After 5 play through this game, and because I didn't have a Switch, so I was like, fine, I'll just watch somebody play it. And man, this game looks really good and dumb in a lot of the ways that I know Rhett's going to appreciate. I
think it was just that I had come off Fire Emblem Awakening in February, and then I think I pretty much rolled right into this. And specifically that I wanted that Symphogear energy like immediately, and then I just ended up actually rewatching Symphogear at the end of February.
Well, I mean, given where we've been, given what happened immediately after that.
Yeah, but it was like I only got like 4 hours into this, so I knew I wasn't really actually gonna write it off entirely. But it was like, okay, I thought it maybe kind of had a bit of a slow start, and I made the horrible mistake of playing on hard.
Oh, I think that's probably smart.
Yeah. So I was not getting that energy right away. And I was a little impatient, so I ended up just watching actual Symphogear. And then the pandemic started, and everything was kind of on hold for a bit.
And it's like, yo, it's 2020.
Yeah, 2020 kicked in.
Yeah, and it's been 2020 ever since.
We're still in March, some say. So yeah, I come back to this game and I kind of grinded my way through. I was on chapter fucking 1 still.
Wow.
I was really early. I was in the first real dungeon. There's a little tutorial one. I was in the first real dungeon. I got to the end of that and I was like, okay. Like the ending of that one is real goofy where like they chase the boss off a building in Tokyo and like chase it on a Pegasus. It's very anime.
Yeah.
Like they have some pretty really nice animated cutscenes. The only thing that kind of bums me out is that like the cutscenes have this cool cell shaded look to them, and then it doesn't really mesh with the actual in-game stuff. And I'm just like, why isn't the in-game just also cell shaded to look the same? Yeah. A little weird.
Yeah, it's a little inconsistent.
So I did the second dungeon. I get to the end of that, and the boss just fucking annihilates me. And I'm just like, if I'm going to play this game, I should probably just slide that difficulty back down to normal. Because at this point, I still kind of felt like I was playing it as an obligation. But I'm also like, I don't want to grind. I don't want to sit here and just fight the same enemies over and over. Because the combat at that point is super, super simple, where it's just like, attack enemies with their weak points to trigger sessions and do a lot of damage.
That's literally the entirety of Persona's battle system.
It's like, it feels even more magnified here because when you trigger a session, which is your other characters jumping in to join the attack, like, you have to do a weak point attack to do that. And like, those start to get nuts later on.
Yeah.
Because as you get more characters and they can all start jumping in, I'm doing combos up to like 14 now.
Oh, Jesus.
And thank God, there's a animation setting for a quick session to make it about twice as fast. But it's also like, they're getting so long, I can tell the Switch is pausing a bit to keep loading character models. Because these attacks are like, you do one weak point attack with one character, then literally every single possible party member jumps in, and then it also triggers a song, and you skip the song, and then every party member gets a reset after that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And apparently you can eventually chain up to 2 songs, so to get a combo of like 21, which I think is the max. It gets a little bonkers. So even with the quick animation, it's getting kind of long. And the other thing I found out...
good PS1 attack animations.
The other thing I found out is that you can just set the AI, so it's not AI by default, but you can have your other 2 party members just attack on their own. So, which makes the combat just a lot breezier because it's just like, hey, you guys know how to pick the one that's the weak point attack. Like, if the enemy's weak to ice, just use your ice shit. It'll figure itself out.
Yeah, like, people complain about Persona 3 being hard-coded like that, where you only have control of the main character and your other 2 party members. But, like, once you've scanned an enemy and know its weakness, they always do the most, like, optimal thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, why that game gets so much shit. You know, but like people tend to kind of praise more latter-day games that follow that format or have these AI options when it's literally the same.
See, I think it is nice having an option because whenever I go to fight a boss, I'll turn it off because maybe I want them to use an item or maybe I want them to heal. And thank you, Windows Defender, for turning on all of a sudden.
Nice.
Nice. If we haven't seen that in like 6 months.
If we lose Rhett, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Thanks, Windows.
So, like, I do appreciate having more manual control when I want it, but when I'm just running through the regular dungeon, like, I don't give a shit, just attack, you know?
See, the only thing I think that Persona 3 did wrong with its AI programming is that, like, when your turn comes up, you can give your teammates individual AI scripting, like, okay, you focus on this, and then you focus on this. The problem, and I think that it was dumb that they did this, is that after you beat every major full moon event, you get a new strategy you can use. So, like, you get a new role that you can give them to take. And I think that, like, no, just give the player that stuff up front and let your battle system kind of... like, rely on knowing when to strategically use that stuff instead of like, oh, you just can't make your characters do that right now.
That's really silly.
Yeah. So, like, that's the one thing that I'll hold against it, but the games, later games, like, just completely throw that out the window and go with what this game is doing.
The other thing is that if your main character, Itsuki, gets knocked out, then you automatically turn on manual control for the other characters until they are able to revive him.
Booze, the pussy Shin Megami Tensei game.
Oh, that again, it's not just the pussy Shin Megami Tensei game, it's also the pussy Fire Emblem game.
Oh, yeah, right, yep.
I am just continually amazed that they announced this game as Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
I know!
And everyone just had a certain expectation for what that game would look like.
Yep.
And then the story for this game is all about idols in the entertainment industry.
You don't know how happy this made me. Because they took what could have been a very boring concept and they did something they turned that shit on its head in a way that is so fucking admirable, I think.
They just went so weird with it.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So, like, a whole bunch of it is just, singing songs or dealing with, like, asshole directors or recording studio guys. And like, I've been doing a lot of the side stories, and then I actually found out the other day that, if you want to get the true ending, do all the side stories, literally every single one. It's like,
no!
But like, I spent like a long time between. So there's intermissions between each chapter. They're actually just called intermissions, and it's like, hey, go here to resume the main story. I spent like an enormous amount of time after chapter 4 just doing all the side stories to the point where I'm just like, to me, this is kind of the main game at this point.
Oh.
Because that's where I actually kind of felt like I really started to connect with the game more, is just like doing these individual character side stories.
It's kind of like the situation with East 8, where like and the same with like the Trails games, of course. And guess what? There's your Falcom mention for the episode, where like the side content is usually something that I will look at and just sigh and think I'm never engaging with this. But like with Tokyo Mirage Sessions, a lot of the side stuff I saw like looked really, really like that stuff kind of like letting you dig more into the characters and stuff gave me those kind of Falcom vibes.
It's also extremely funny when like you do some of the side quests, like what you're actually doing, extremely boring. Where like some of them are just like, go to this specific dungeon and do 10 sessions. It's like, okay, I'm just fighting enemies like normal. Yeah. Or go kill this specific enemy. Like there's kind of not really any sort of quest design, but like the writing is fine. And then when the quest reward at the end is like getting a new idol performance. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have like this fully really well animated cutscene at the end, and then you'll unlock that song in combat, so it can just like either it's a dual tech, or like some characters will just like, when Kyria uses an ice spell, she'll randomly break into song.
Yes! She will!
And do an AoE version, and like that shit fucking rules.
Yes. That was like the most hype. That was the most hype shit.
Yeah. So the fact that you're every song that you kind of get through the stories will end up showing up in combat sometimes is so goofy but great.
Yeah. This shit's real good.
But yeah, I was like in the chapter 4 intermission for like 10 hours or something. I only just finally started chapter 5, and then I'm like, I have no idea how long this game is. But then looking at realizing the true ending is going to require all side stories. I was like, okay, I'm probably not even. I have done all 3 Akirias and Tsubasa's, so like, I'm getting there. And God, the Tsubasa one was funny because it's like, you should be level 47, and I'm like, Itsuki's level 44, and I'm like, I'm probably good. But then Tsubasa herself is level 39, and then I get to the boss, it's like, you have to put her in the party, dumbass, and I'm like, uh-oh. So first time get my ass beat. I'm like, okay, but I know the weakness on the boss yet, so I'm going to switch out my third party member. And oops, I won. Cool.
There you go.
Yeah, he was weak to axes, as most people are.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think I'm probably weak to axe too.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the stuff is so goofy. Like there's the whole side story stuff about this cooking show that's also a cooking show, but also microwave cooking, which is not really cooking. And just thinking, this was the game that was announced as Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. And like just how surface level both of those references are.
Yeah.
Like, the spells you use are named after
the Shin Megami Tensei ones. Yeah.
Like, okay, you're casting Dia to heal, Zonda do wind attacks.
Agi.
Like, yeah, it's fire. And like you get the next levels and stuff. I don't have them all memorized. And then like the Fire Emblem stuff is just the characters that support you in battle. Like, oh, you got Chrom in your main character, and like Tharja's there too, because there's a lot of Awakening fan service.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the Varcher is Virion from Awakening as well.
Yeah, like this game was in development around that time, so
yeah. And then anybody who's not from Awakening, I don't know, but like also that stuff doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere story-wise. They're just kind of there. The only character that seems like they have a plot is Tiki, where there's a whole Amnesia side plot with her that seems to actually have some forward momentum. But like the other characters are just kind of fan service, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was glad that at some point that game kind of swung over from feeling like I'm playing it out of an obligation to just not have bought this game and only put 4 hours into it, into being like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this now. Good.
Yeah, like I think
That's
you
always
even,
nice.
I think you even DM'd me like you were just like not really super into this.
God. I think that was probably chapter 3. That might actually, I think that was right before I dropped the difficulty down.
Oh,
So I was just like, I wanted to give myself an excuse of like, I either like suffer through grinding or I just drop this game. And I was just like, what if I just fucking play on normal, you dipshit?
Yeah, like there's like come on. You're not playing the Dark Souls of RPGs here.
Because at that point, the combat was just, I mean, even more so than just attack the weak points. I didn't even have like any AoE spells at that point.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you're just menuing through and finding the one that has weakness on it. And then having to do that for all 3 characters, it was just taking a little while.
That's kind of like another thing that SMT and Persona runs up against is that like once they give you AoE attacks, they like that suddenly that like makes you a threat to an entire battlefield. And I think that they kind of like they really try to keep those away from you as long as possible, because that can make the game pretty easy. It's also like why they kind of like in Persona 3 Fest, like when they did the upgrade version, they lowered the accuracy of some AoE spells so that like if you missed, you wouldn't get the full bonus. Things like that, like but like getting AoE attacks has always kind of been a real slow process in SMT.
It's not even that slow in this. It's like I think you start getting them by chapter 3 or even maybe the end of 2. I was just really impatient with this game at the start.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that like your accuracy seems incredibly good. I've missed like maybe 3 attacks because the few times it's happened, I've been like, "What?
That's a thing?
You can miss?" I like got some equipment that was like plus 10 strength, minus 50 skill, and I was still hitting, and I'm like, what's going on? and then only with that did I finally get my first miss. I was like, okay, it can happen. It's almost one of those things where I'm like, is this stat just bugged? They're talking about accuracy being a thing, and I've literally never seen it in 10 hours. Oops. Because obviously, if you get a miss and it skips the entire session, it sucks.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
That's a bummer.
But it's so rare. I'm gonna laugh when I get to the final boss and it has like 50% dodge or something.
It's gonna have 50% dodge. You're gonna miss a session, and then it's gonna full heal itself when you are 1/4 away from winning.
Oh boy,
that'd be fun. The game's got some sexy menus too.
They're very stylish. They maybe get a little old pretty quickly.
Like it's kind of the same way with Persona 5 menus. Like they're really nice, but maybe speed it up a little bit.
I think the one menu thing that kind of drives me nuts in this is that characters will text you.
Oh,
and that whole system is really kind of clunky.
Because this worked on the Wii U by it being on your gamepad, and you would just look down, and the text would be on your D-pad, on your gamepad.
Okay, that explains a lot. Like, why does this menu have its own like dedicated button and is so important? Because like, there's like the texting menu is completely separate from the regular main menu, so it's like really focused. Okay, I should have realized it was the second screen thing. Yeah, that makes more sense. Because, like, I've gotten to the point where I will just ignore going to that menu.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a little indicator on the top left on the main screen that's like how many text messages you have unread. I've got it into the 50s. Like, these fuckers text you a lot. So it's always weird when I, like, finally start checking it and they're talking about, like, 2 chapters ago. Like, Itsuki, you need to come to the office now. Where are you? Hey, thanks for coming to the office. Boy, we kicked that boss, huh? I'm just like, okay, I don't even remember what you were talking about. My character is such a jerk. I think probably the weakest thing in this game is that you have to play as this kind of bland male protagonist who just really has nothing to do in the story. Like
and apparently texts like my brother.
His role is just supporting all the other characters.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I think it would have been more interesting if Tsubasa was just the main character.
I just wish that SMT would drop the silent protagonist crap, because I think more and more as stories become more involved and production value around a silent protagonist keeps getting better, your silent protagonist just looks silly.
But so your main character in this is not silent at all. He's just really bland.
Oh God,
Like-
he's so bland that I literally just remember him being silent.
That's the thing. Like,
That's very funny.
because you're all part of like this entertainment group, like marketing firm, but like all the other girls are singers or actors, and he's just kind of in training. He doesn't have a role other than supporting them and being the nice guy. Like, it's really kind of obvious.
Huh.
Like he probably could have been the silent protagonist. It probably would have been even worse if he was.
Probably.
And then Tsubasa, of course, just has a huge crush on him for kind of no reason.
Of course. Why not?
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that he's just kind of a boring character on his own and you have to use him in cat battle is unfortunate. Because it's like you've got like 7 party members, but then only 2 slots that you can actually switch out because he's locked. It's like, that's a little restrictive game. Especially when you get another sword boy, it's like, well, why would I ever use 2 at the same time? Because the combat is all about maximizing your spread of weak points coverage. So, but it's a good game. Maybe I'll have it beaten by the next time we podcast.
Perhaps.
Because it's a big boy.
A big boy. He big.
Especially now that I'm committed to doing all side quests. So, I want to swing it over to John.
John Thayer?
There's not a lot about that one that kind of grabs me, but it always makes people happy when they're playing it, it seems like. So I'm glad it exists.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's a general sentiment that I see people playing that game, and they're generally having, like, I don't see much shit talk about that game, which, given the fucking internet and its inability to enjoy anything, really shocking.
You know why there's no shit talking about this game?
Nobody bought it.
Because like Wonderful 101, it came out on the Wii U and nobody bought it. And then in 2020 it got a re-release and still nobody
bought it.
I know that Iffy played it, so there's one other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But how does it compare with Omega
Both
Quintet?
those games got
the IF idol game.
I know. Somebody's got to get on Omega Quintet.
Not it.
Compare them back to back.
Not it.
All right, John, you are going to be our Omega Quintet guinea pig.
I almost did a couple. When you started like hating Idea Factory, I was like, maybe it's time to take a jump into it.
You played Neptunia.
And then I did a while back, and I was like, all right, that was fun. I'm not really feeling it, but I get it. But I did not follow through on the contrarian train there. Didn't have the guts. I played some other games though.
Oh, did you? That aren't Omega Quintet.
Yeah.
All right. What other games did you play?
I played a shit ton of games, so we're gonna kind of wrap
All
it
right,
up. I think.
All right. Get ready to shotgun. Get ready to shotgun some video games, people.
Okay, and this is skipping like half of them. It's gonna be this is gonna be a beefy one there.
Right.
I played Apollo's Realm, the new Jetstorm.
Hey, this is good.
Yep, I had a good time with this. This is a 1-hour shitpost game made in a weekend, which is an incredibly potent vibe.
Yeah,
I think
it's so strong.
Yep. It has characters from Silas.
Yep.
And actually kind of swings for some pretty big catharsis at the end there, and it basically hits him. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that like with as fast as this came out, I wasn't sure if this would just feel like, oh, this you're getting used to the new RPG maker, and like there's nothing wrong with making a game that's just that, but this feels wholly like its own unique and fun thing that is part of that original experience and kind of still its own little shit posty fun thing as well. So it's like it's more than just a shit post, but it has a shit posty feel to it.
Yeah, it's our favorite thing. It's a shit post that has way more effort than you expect.
Yes, like a shit post that has way more effort than it should is my favorite.
Yep. I think it felt to me, I didn't process this at first, it felt to me like the stats and spell layouts were default.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like they were just kind of
all of that stuff
were the pre-baked characters.
Yeah.
So the combat did not feel particularly like fleshed out or balanced. That was definitely not the point, and I played it like, oh, I'm learning this spell. Better think about how this tactically applies to this upcoming boss.
Did not really have to worry about
like
that.
Like the 1/2 point, I was like, oh, this doesn't really matter.
No.
I don't have to really think about this, do I?
The only thing I took from it was like, fuck, that's the battle system I want.
It's doing the Grandia thing. It's doing
Yeah.
the Xenogears thing.
Yeah.
So I'm still excited for. I think the next thing I'm real excited about that I think Tom is maybe working on is sort of a smaller scale game with a sort of a different approach with the combat where that is a focal point.
Yeah.
I think that's very exciting to me. This wasn't that, but it has like a really nice little story that I really liked and a good sense of humor.
Oh yeah.
If you are a fellow Silas fans, check this out.
Yeah, like you'll get through this in like an hour and a half or so. It's a real easy thing. Like John said, like if you're into the Silas vibe, this carries that very well.
Just a cute little world map.
Oh yeah,
it's
it's
really
so
cute.
good. It's so good.
It's so cute. This made me be like, I want to make a shit post RPG Maker game. It's just incredibly good energy.
Oh yeah.
So I played another friend's game. Like earlier this year, I played 2 good RPG Maker games by friends that came out within like 3 or 4 days of each other. And like last time, one of them was a Tom game.
Yep.
But this time it was Labyrinth Derelict Abyss.
Hey
June
now.
Flower game.
Hey now.
Yeah, you played this one too, Paulie.
I streamed this. This game.
Yeah, that's about my vibe. I think this game rules.
This game fucking
Remnants-
rules.
Yeah, it's really funny because it looks like Remnants. It looks like they're taking the same approach. It's single screen explory RPG Maker game with like lots of custom art. But actually playing it, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Because Remnants was very simple layouts with frequent choke points between layers. So you always pretty much knew exactly where you were and where everything is. It was very easy to build a mental map of the levels. But then each screen was stuffed with texture and text and things to examine, things to poke at.
Yeah, like literally almost every tile around a perimeter would be interactable in some way.
Yeah, it was extremely dense with that stuff.
Yeah.
Labyrinth is one big maze with a bunch of with each room of which has a bunch of custom art and a bunch of cool custom stuff, but it's not packed with interactable stuff, because if it was, it would be completely exhausting and impossible to engage with.
It would like I like that Remnants is like show and tell, and Labyrinth is just show.
Labyrinth is navigation. It's making, the point of it is to build a mental map of the space and also explore every screen thoroughly. It involves like some actual like hidden wall stuff too, and everything is like telegraphed in smart ways.
Yeah.
It's a very satisfying navigation puzzle box where you're just poking around all these different rooms and keeping an eye out for little cues for secrets. For me, it was about 45 minutes. And this honestly like kind of hits my sweet spots a little more than Remnants, because I love building that mental map.
Yeah.
I love poking around for hidden walls and whatnot. I love mazes. So I think this
I thought mazes were not supposed to exist in a video game. Never fun ever.
Mazes are funny.
Mazes
are funny when your friends know that you hate them, and they make concessions for that.
Oh,
perhaps you've seen the polyline.
Polly got a special version of this game that mapped out the maze for her. Had special
the big repeating hell maze,
colorful tiles. Yes, and the thing is, and Polly, you don't hate mazes because this whole game is a maze. It's a maze with a bunch of like custom art.
This game is not a maze. I don't think that this game is a maze at all. It doesn't, like, it feels like when you say maze to me, I think game. Like, maze is a word where I think video game or game of some sort. This is a place. Labyrinth does not strike me as a maze at all. It has a maze in it. It has the repeating hell maze, which is like, that reminds me of a video game thing. But Labyrinth's like map design at all times felt to me like a place and not a maze. That's what I like the most about it, is that there's a lot of environmental storytelling going on with just the art, and the way things like animate, and the way that like you can change the shape of your character sometimes. It's like that's all of that stuff. It made it feel like a unique and place, a unique and fully realized place. Whereas a maze is just, it's boring. I hate mazes. They suck.
I guess for me, I was thinking of like the overall navigational experience of like plotting your way or having to actually keep a large branching path.
I still did that.
I totally get what you're saying.
I just like, oh, okay, I knew where the rooms were. Like, they were distinct rooms. It wasn't just like, here are boring paths and there's a bunch of confusing ones. That's what I see when I hear the word maze. This is just like, okay, I'm going to go to the room with the triangle in it now because that's my waypoint. Or the room with the big sleepy boy. I can picture those places right there in my head. Right there in my head. Mickey style.
I mean, personally, I got completely lost playing this game constantly. Like,
really?
I was very much.
That's so weird. Because you think
twist,
that would
John is bad.
You would think that would be my thing.
John's bad at mazes.
Is that what this is?
Like I did not wrap this up with a solid grasp of the way it was laid out. I was like, okay, I can't. I would have to write this on paper. But I was at least able to get my way through here, and I enjoyed the process of muddling through a maze anyway, or a place, just this kind of open-ended structure, basically. I guess to me, I like pure maze. I like pure mazes as sort of when they serve a kind of a neat psychological purpose, which is like the Yumeneki thing, where it's
the Yumeneki one is like so intentionally annoying.
It's the trauma maze, which is in a lot of things. I get what you mean, though. Yeah. I think that's a cool and sensible distinction to draw.
Like, I think the overworld in Yumeneki is maze-like, but I would still call it a place, I think, in the way that Polly's describing. But you definitely can get lost in there.
And I was absolutely thinking of Yumeneki, just the whole game as one big maze, like including the parts that aren't just the
I got you.
The hell maze. Cool. All right, I like that distinction. I think the neither game has like a big scripted story beat.
No.
Have big scripted story beats. They both have very kind of small endings, which I think suit the story that they're telling. I like this one's conclusion a little more. I think this one hit me a little harder.
Yeah, I got a little more out of this one, and like with the way when you know what's going on in the story, and kind of like when you get to the actual ending and see what happens, like that's like, that feels really nice. Whether it's meant to feel nice or not, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but it made me feel nice.
Yeah, it pulls a very cool trick.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil the trick.
Yeah,
it's a cool trick.
Cool.
I'm gonna keep this RPG Maker train going here.
Go for it.
And I didn't talk about this one much on Twitter because it's pretty esoteric. This game is Photocopiadora's Hard Office. This is the same dev that made Quad Death Core Meltdown EX and Video Pulp Supercardy's Dread. The latter was a collab project, I believe. And my experience playing photo games is generally that they are is that sometimes they feel completely impenetrable, but always in ways that feel deliberate. And then when they do click, they just click completely, like they did with Quad Death and Video Pulp.
Well, this game is based on a dream, and when you're dealing with dream logic, I can see that being very impenetrable, because that's going to vary person to person.
Yeah, this is very much like a sort of glitch logic RPG, like dense puzzles, and then like there was at least one puzzle where I had to go to the DM the dev and be like, hey, I'm stuck.
Help me out.
And I think the dense, but for the most part, this is definitely like where you explore a little adventure game world, and then you pay very close attention and pick up on certain cues, and then when you follow through on those cues and it works, it feels really good. And I can kind of see the way I could have gotten through that one that I finally badgered the person about. But I played it for about an hour. I got 2 of the 3 endings. And I found the puzzle solving really rewarding for the most part. It was like very much like, would this work? No. Would that work? Let me try it. Oh my god, it worked! Oh my god! You feel like a big galaxy brain super genius. And the story is like, it's told lightly enough that it doesn't feel like it's beating your face with the theming, I think. But not so lightly that it's that it doesn't have any bite to it. Right. That it doesn't feel like that. It just kind of feels a little too like it's tricky. It feels like there's sometimes I play a game and I'm like, oh man, that was like capital A art.
Right. I got you.
Where it's not trying to grab you in like a traditional narrative journey, which like is basically all of my games will try to kind of go on sort of a traditional journey. This is very much just like not leaning on the note too hard, not lecturing you. Here's the point of the thing. It's just like live in this space for a little bit, take what you want from it, and then be done. I had a good time with it. It literally says up front, hey, this is rough around the edges and suffers from some adventure game bullshit. I think I like it that way. So play it if you want.
Yeah. Any game that has a bullet point of experience the obliterating burden of living, I'm here for it. That
was sort of my takeaways. Like, I played like through several photo games now at this point, and all of them, even when it's dense to the point where I just can't penetrate it, it always feels very intentional. Yeah. And I think Quad Death is probably the one I would point most folks at, because it's just a very fun platformer once you get past that like 5 to 10 minutes of, wait, what the fuck is this? What is going on? But this was another good one. And it's a 2015. It's cool to play a game from like an RPG Maker game from like 5 years ago, and have it just kind of sneak up on me like, oh shit, this is real cool. So I have one more thing, and then I'll separate the next into the next chunk. Sure. And I've got more RPG Maker stuff to talk about. But we'll say that for the next chunk, because I do want to talk a little bit about Xenogears.
Hey, I know that video game.
It's an RPG Maker game.
It's an RPG Maker game. It's one of the more advanced ones. They got some 3D in there somehow.
RPG Maker 98.
It's like there's an RPG Maker for the PS2 that lets you do 3D games.
God, wow.
Yeah, this is probably made in that.
I have it. It's a disaster to use. Like it's like I've tried.
I'm sure.
I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard to understand it. It's just like, what am I doing?
God. So I took I played the first like 12 hours of this immediately after finishing Xenoblade.
Oh boy.
which was a decision.
That's a decision one can make to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It seems incredibly foolish. Who would start a second Xeno game immediately after finishing another very long Xeno game? I can't imagine anyone else being that foolish. But I did that, and I got up to the first act break, which is incredibly good. The act break where like they've been setting up all these little plot threads for like 8 hours, and then they all just slam into each other. This is what a friend said that I really liked and then all the plot threads slam together at 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
For like an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the first fight with Ellie and the big desert set piece boss fight, and then it comes after that, and it's dope as hell.
Hell yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, mecha shit is so cool. I forgot. Why did nobody tell me that Xenogears was a really cool mecha story? Everyone forgot to mention that so they could talk about Disc 2.
Yeah, that's kind of like the discourse that game kind of gets lost in anymore. Is, oh man, Disc 2 is where they ran out of the budget. Like, yeah.
It's like, okay, we get it. Why do people still care about it? If that's the only thing, there must be something else. Do you want to talk about that other thing? And it's that it's a very cool mecha anime sometimes.
I mean, the back of the box says stand tall and shake the heavens. It's literally like, hey man, it's about big old robots.
Mm-hmm. And it's mecha in the best way, where it's, oh my god, the main character has just obtained all this unimaginable power, and they can use it to destroy the enemies. But it comes at a terrible cost. Oh, there it is. There's the good shit.
Yeah.
There's that good shit.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
It's also a stunningly gorgeous game.
Oh god, man! Like, this game was incredible. Like this, the demo. This came on the Parasite Eve, back in the day, and I got Parasite Eve the day it came out, right? So it came with a demo of Xenogears, which I proceeded to play for 3 hours before putting Parasite Eve into my PlayStation. That's how, like, I had not seen an RPG look like this. These fully 3D environments with these big chunky 2D sprites that are animated from every angle. It just looks incredible. And like the death blows looked absolutely nuts.
It looks a lot like Trails. It's the same basic art style that Trails in the Sky took, except Trails in the Sky presents almost every cutscene, or like every scene, from basically the same angle.
Yeah.
Rotated around 360 degrees. It's the same, like, you can rotate it, but the angle is set.
Yeah.
Xenogears is lovingly, all the cutscenes are just like lovingly freeform with the camera. It'll go in and out of around buildings. It'll do all sorts of cool shit. And it just all looks great because it's got these gorgeous sprites, like Paulie said. And it feels like Final Fantasy VII and a lot of Square's games feel very in love with the possibilities of pre-rendered backgrounds, which were a complete explosive leap forward from what the SNES could do. And they have their own like caveats and weirdnesses, but they are really special and cool and beautiful. And those games take delight in using the pre-rendered backgrounds in cool ways, like how FF7 plays with scale constantly.
Oh yeah,
okay, now the characters are really tiny, and now we're in a really intimate environment. We're doing all this cool shit. Xenogears feels like it's taking that same amount of joy in creating a 3D space in an RPG, and especially in the towns. There's when you get to Ave for the first time, that area makes use of the space in this just breathtaking way, and the way it manifests is that you poke around it from all these different angles, literally all these different angles. And even the platforming stuff feels like it's ties into that. It's like, hey, we want you to engage with this as a 3D space, and we're going to make an RPG with an incredible emotional scale.
Oh yeah,
and make these cool, really beautiful diorama levels, and every little house is just so detailed, and it's really cool and pretty.
Yeah, there was nothing that looked like this game when it came out. Like, it's just such a big old thing of its own.
Because I've played a lot of games that have this approach, mainly like Dragon Quest, the Dragon Quest remakes on the DS. Come to mind. I think that was what Dragon Quest VII looked like, but that was a lot after Xenogears came out. Trails in the Sky was a lot after Xenogears came out. You can't understate the positive energy of like this game that is coming forward with this completely fresh feeling aesthetic that it is exploring joyously.
Oh yeah. Do you know that Xenogears was supposed to be Final Fantasy VII?
Yep, and then I think they pitched it as Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
And then they said, no. What about maybe it's Chrono Trigger 2? And they got a ways into that, and they're like, no, make it your own thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they that there are multiple really cool Square games that were like, well, we thought that we pitched this as Final Fantasy VII. We decided that wasn't a good fit, but then we said just go make it as a standalone thing. Like that is.
It's an energy you're not going to get.
Energy.
Yeah, you're not going to get that
in contemporary games.
Yeah, like with now, like it's like no, we're going to shoehorn it and make it work. We've already put the money into it. These assets exist. This is Final Fantasy VII now.
Or they just won't. They'll turn down the pitch and then they'll never get made.
Yeah.
Because why would you make a new RPG that's not Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, that'd be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, they're just like, oh yeah, make Xenogears, make Parasite Eve, make a shmup, I don't know, let's give more money to the Saga guy. Why not?
Like, PS1
Has he made a game that's not really weird? Nope. Let's keep it going.
PS1 Square was on a whole other shit. Like, just ridiculous when you look at their output. And then the fucking Spirits Within tanked them hard.
Ugh. It's really a shame.
They flew too close to the sun.
I mean, they were so weird because, like, they did only JRPGs up to a point, and then they're just like, what if we did a fighting game with one-hit kills? What if we do Brave Fencer Musashi? And like you said, a shmup. Like, they just tackled every genre at once.
Threads of Fate. Like, fucking... Just what? They were on some shit. And, like, most of the shit they put out was really good, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not only that they were experimenting and just, like... throwing off these one-off projects, it's that most of them were fucking good.
Yeah, definitely.
There was still a discipline to how they brought them together, even if it was a lot more kind of wild and experimental than like Falcom or Enix or like Yuji Horii games. They brought that energy, and it's not an energy that I've really seen replicated in another commercial game space, maybe. That I can necessarily. I'm sure it exists. I'm sure there's a lot of them, but that period of time, that corporate environment, something about how it came together feels really special, and I think Xenogears is a good example of that. Just from the experience of playing it up to that point, I did immediately after that act break. It just drops you into all the momentum, just kind of like, all right, we're gonna completely reset, throw out all these other characters. Faye's in jail now. And he's gonna be in jail for the next 4 hours.
Oh man,
this tournament arc.
Oh, there's a long.
Well, you do a tournament arc and a sewer maze.
Oh, yeah, sewer maze.
Oh man, I remember the sewer maze not being super fun.
The sewer maze took me 90 minutes, and I was looking at a map.
That's nuts.
I was looking at a map the whole time.
The encounter rate is ridiculous at that portion of the game.
I was playing it legit until that point, and I got to the maze. I was like, fuck this. No, thank you. And I tried to speed it up, and it was still 90 minutes. And I was like, okay. And this was after 2 weeks, and I just started this point. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And I just was like, I booted back up, and I was like, do I want to keep playing Xenogears? And then I was like, let's just get past the jail part. And then we'll see, okay?
We'll reassess.
And I took the 4 hours, and I got past the jail part, and I reassessed, and then suddenly I was having some fun again.
Oh, good.
Quite a lot of fun, because they have another gigundo climax happen, where you just like fly your mech onto an airship and then fight a gauntlet of recurring baddies on top of the airship, and then you fight, and then you see Ellie, and it's like you have a big confrontation with Ellie, and then there's another boss, gotta fight them. Oh my god, this previous character who you thought left just Han Solo'd in, and they're gonna fight with you, and oh shit, rad. So now I'm thoroughly reinvested, and I'm about 18-20 hours in.
Nice.
So I'm pretty much gonna see it through at this point, I think.
It's a
Famous
lot.
Last words.
It's
when you said you were on like area 3 of 12 or something.
In a walkthrough. I think disc 2 starts at like area 9 or 10, so it's like, okay, I'm a third through disc 1, and once I'm at disc 2, that's just gonna fly by.
Disc 2 really kind of goes until the final dungeon.
It's just a VN, it's fine. I'll just fly through it, it'll be fine. The important thing is I just need to get to the end of this. But besides, like I said, I'm having fun again, so I'm not just counting chapters down until the chore is done.
I would have been mad if you tapped out this early.
Yeah.
You would have been if I'd given up. Well, the thing is,
you got to really think you're going to see it through and then be broken by this game.
Like, me and Rhett know what's
see,
coming. Me and Rhett know that there are things coming that are really probably going to try the old patience. Because he's somebody that loves the game. There are some areas in that game where I'm just like, ooh, man, this is real fucking fun.
Is there going to be the platforming tower, the one dungeon that is the only, in the 50-hour game, that's the only thing people talk about ever?
Yeah, it's John, it's... You know how that game feels.
Is it that bad?
You know how that game feels, right? You feel it. It's kind of chunky.
Okay,
the platforming is a little delayed. It's on. You're operating on a bit of a delay.
Bit of a delay.
There's some angle issues.
You can get into some random encounters during your jumps.
Yeah.
You can get into a random counter in the middle
great.
of a jump. You'll lose your momentum and then fall. And you also have limited fuel.
The fuel thing is fun. The fuel thing is once I kind of figured out what the MO of the fighting is with the mechs, I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of
Just always
thing
be
with
in
the
charge.
Yeah, the thing with the fighting is funny because both of the fighting systems are really simple, I think.
Yeah.
In a way that's kind of refreshing after Xenoblade.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
God.
sort of like just like, okay, we're just going to trade numbers for a while, and it's going to shake out either in my favor or not. Yeah. And I'm just going to be okay with that. And there's sort of a pleasing simplicity to it after, oh God, gotta fucking break them so that I can topple them so I can daze them. Oh shit, they've undazed. If I time it right, then they'll still be toppled, and I can retopple. They'll still be braked, and I can retopple them.
See, I feel Xenoblade combat is still super simple. It's just trying as hard as it can to be complex.
Yeah, which is obnoxious.
Yeah.
And this is not doing that. It is just like, okay, we made two simple little combat engines. Please enjoy. Except now it's a fighting game because this is a Square game. We're gonna just randomly do shit like that because it's cool. Mm-hmm. It's sort of that Hideki Kamiya energy, where it's like, okay, we're gonna do a pseudo shmup section here.
There's a pseudo shmup section here. Here's a weird like 3D mech battle game from 1998. This was probably an arcade game pitch at some point, but we just put it in here.
Yep.
Here's Virtual On. Play Virtual On.
It's really fun. So I'm just kind of, that is the energy that I'm enjoying about it, is that it just goes in such an intense way. The art and the whole style is just so gorgeous, and that makes it a lot easier to deal with not really caring about any of the characters.
Oh, that's a big knife right there.
Oops.
What about Ellie?
Oops. Ellie's good. I like Ellie. Ellie had like a cool backstory that immediately turned into like a scary stake-setting boss battle. Like that's the good shit. But like it's weird because the way the story just goes in those big moments, it feels like Final Fantasy VI. Like it feels like it's carrying me through these big moments in the same way that game did to me. And that might be me being colored by knowing that the Takahashi team are both veteran FF6 devs, junior devs or writers. But like it feels like a lot of the same energy. It's just not quite as charming, not quite as snappy. I don't care about these characters quite as much. It's a little bit more muddled.
And I think some of this muddling does come from a translation that is not 100% there.
Oh, it's real rough. It's real rough. The text is a big part of it. I don't like Citan at all. I don't like anything about how he talks.
Oh, I think he's very intentionally like that too. I think that is a point in his character that you're supposed to just kind of, you just grate on me in the worst possible fucking way.
Oh my god! Yeah, and he's such a big player in that first 8 hours.
Like Citan follows Jonathan Blow on Twitter, probably.
Oh my god! There's your current reference.
That is That is exactly. He shows up at the church where he's being led by this lady. This is his friend's sister, and she's like, "Here's the church where I grew up and I was raised my whole life. Here's the very pretty painting that we keep. That is our special sacred artifact." And then he's like, walks in, big dick hanging out. Like, well, here's what I think this painting says. I think it has this interesting gender dynamic. I think it has all this cool. Here's my reading of how this painting goes. Hey, oh, look about this. Let me ask you a question. Let me keep talking after asking that question. I'm just like, oh, fuck you.
It's a very specific energy, and I think he's meant to piss you off.
Good, because he succeeds.
He's got some cool-ass death blows, though.
Yeah, that's true. I love the one where Faye, like, runs up the front of the enemy, kicking them, and then, like, flips around and kicks them in the face.
That's so good!
That's good shit. So, the idea of this being like, okay, so, the narrative I built in my brain is, like, the two Takashis, both ex-FF6 devs, now they're spearheading their own game, but doesn't have Katase, doesn't have Sakaguchi, and they're just not quite bringing a lot of the same kind of coherence and heat, and it's not, the quiet moments aren't really landing the way I want them to, and that makes the big moments not quite land the way they could.
I
think if the right, and again, I think a lot of that is probably the localization, which just matters a lot more when there's like 5 times as much text as in a SNES game.
Oh yeah.
So that's so I'm just kind of going in like pretty measured, like, okay, I'm not expecting this to be my favorite thing, but I'm loving this particular energy so much that I can easily see it carrying me through the rest of the story.
Did you catch the Xenogears reference or foretelling in Final Fantasy VII back in the day?
No.
Yeah, like when Cloud's going through all that stuff in the live stream and stuff, where he's just kind of like in a coma. He actually like if you go up to him at a certain point, he says Xenogears, because it was like, you know, obviously not translated properly. But he has 4 text boxes that just says Xenogears.
Oh my god.
It's like, hey, we're gonna make this cool. We got this game in dev.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, because I didn't get that at first, and then like the moment I heard about Xenogears, what? Oh my god, that's a cool little reference.
Oh well, people were probably like, "Oh, this is
they
is
retranslated
connected."
it. They retranslate it, so it just says Xenogears now.
What? Oh, it's probably still in 4 text boxes.
In the way they spell it out in the original release is Zenogias. So it's obviously just a it's just a romanization of Xenogears.
Yeah.
And then like they just changed it to Xenogears in later scripts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's actually really weird in the PS4 version. He says, "Watch Symphogear."
Weird, huh? Weird.
I'm excited to find out where this one stands in the grand
the gear canon.
The gear canon of mixed bags. The what canon?
Gear.
The gear canon.
No, I was thinking in the grand tier list of mixed bag Square PS1 games.
Oh right,
well,
yeah.
I put it at the bottom apparently.
Yeah, fucking apparently. Jesus.
You know, it was wild.
That's rough.
See, that really blew my mind, is seeing it on my worst games of all time list as lower on the list than God, what was it? Saga Frontier and FF8.
Yeah, that pissed me off. That pissed me off.
Well, here's what was funny to me about it is that FF8 pissed me off way more.
Oh yeah.
Saga Frontier is the way worse game, but I barely put up with it for like more than 2 hours, so it didn't stick with me.
I think that's debatable.
So like,
but continue.
Xenogears was probably the one I played the longest and still ended up getting mad and falling off at, so it kind of pissed me off the most. But so I was trying to think of when I played it, and I was like, oh, I think I played that early 2000 because I was still in high school, but then I definitely didn't play it after high school. And then that article was 2007, I think.
Yeah.
So it'd only been like 7 years.
Yeah.
And I never thought about the game afterwards. So now it's 2020, and I see it on there and I go, I literally don't remember a damn thing about Xenogears, but apparently 13 years ago I was mad to write about
You were
enough to write about.
very angry about it. In a list that also includes Final Fantasy XI.
Hey, Final Fantasy XI's way lower on that list.
I'm saying Final Fantasy XI deserves it. I'm just saying that, like, you hate a game this much for it to be on that same list.
See, Xenogears, I think, was the highest expectations versus what I got. All my high school friends were like, who all liked FF7 and 8, or at least 7. They were all super high on Xenogears, and then I played it a couple years later and just did not fucking get it.
It's a bummer.
I think coming at it now with the understanding of like, okay, this was sort of the B team thing while they were making FF8.
Yeah.
And then even like Chrono Cross, like, okay, this was sort of the side. This was not the main next big thing there. I think that softens the blow a lot.
I think also playing it in early 2000, post Dreamcast coming out.
Yeah,
that game did not look pretty. That game was super ugly.
Yeah, that game
relative to when it came out. So, Dreamcast was the new hotness then.
Yeah, we're comparing
polygons. Wow.
If we're comparing it to like Skies of Arcadia and Grandia 2, it doesn't stand a chance.
Oof. Yeah. I can understand it looking pretty now versus like because it's an aesthetic in its own, right? And it also is very similar to Trails.
That's not an aesthetic that is not particularly like burned out on. Like there aren't a ton of games that
almost nothing.
It hasn't there hasn't been a revolution of like indie RPGs with this style.
No,
Western indie
I mean
RPGs
there's literally Anodyne 2 is probably the only
like that's the only
that's even approaching that same.
And that game doesn't have sprites either. Those are 3D models. So
no,
I mean I guess there's literally Trails in the Sky then as 3D with sprites.
Well, there's one. I actually can think of one.
I mean, Chantilly's does it.
Catamites, and it's this Catamites game that I didn't like. But it definitely is doing the 3D environments and sprites style. All right, that's my segment. Polly.
Cool. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and then Rhett, you hit me after your next segment.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back in like 5 minutes. Catch you, babe. All right,
cool.
We out. Let's go. What?
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 Hey. I was just regaling the chat with some wonderful Marble Madness music from the from the Genesis version.
The Genesis one.
It's real bad.
There's some new, like, I forget who it was, but like one of the tech companies did like super ultra realistic ray traced marbles. And I'm just like, wow, Marble Madness has never looked so realistic. Because it's literally like a 3D board rolling marbles around.
I like that kind of shit. Oh, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here, I'll just send it to you.
Okay. Just send it to me. We got nothing better going on right now.
I mean, you can watch it without sound or anything. Just skip like a minute in.
No, I'm going to leave the sound on. That'll be interesting. GeForce RTX. What you were about to see is a fully playable physics-based game that utilizes NVIDIA AI and ray tracing technology. It is being rendered entirely in real time and inside NVIDIA's Omniverse thing-a-madooter.
It's very good looking.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's crazy.
All these suckers that bought video cards last year. Kicking yourself in the ass now.
I mean, that's the whole thing with video cards, though, is like, why would you? I don't know. You're just always constantly upgrading.
Yeah.
It feels like.
That's why I just bought one, and I'm going to ride it till it dies.
I mean, technically, I did upgrade my video card, but my PC overall is from 2013 still.
You're still doing okay, though, I imagine.
Yeah. The video card bump helped a lot.
Yeah.
And also, I don't really remember the last, like, big AAA game I played.
Yeah, I noticed that. I honestly just don't play AAA games anymore.
There's that. I mean, I played Evil Within 2 on this. I think that's probably the last one.
I played Sonic Forces.
Oh my god.
Good way to break in some new hardware.
I mean, Sonic Generations, I always thought was a good
Sonic Generations is a damn good show.
Sonic Generations was one of the first ones I played on my old original new PC.
Nice.
Yeah, Nier Automata. I think they patched that up, though. I think that game probably plays fine now. Don't quote me on that.
Cool.
I know, we had a weird resurgence of PC ports being shit for a while.
Yeah, what happened? Like we got too comfortable thinking that they would always do good ones. So it's like, oh, everybody's just gonna pre-order and buy them day one now. All right, let's just get them out as quickly and shitty as possible again.
Yeah.
Weird. All right, are we ready to get back on the horse?
Yeah. So it goes. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, could you?
So
okay, you. Rats.
Hello.
Hey.
Throwing back to me, huh?
It's your turn to talk again. I'll talk after. I'll talk after you. How's that sound?
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
I watched an anime.
You did what?
Ooh. I'm back to watching anime. You know why? Because you finished your Higurashi streams for a bit.
Oh, okay.
It was literally like, well, need something else to watch for a bit. This will be kind of a quick one because I haven't even actually finished the show yet. I watched Shiro Bako. This is a show about a group of girls who want to make an anime.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I saw a bunch of this one on. I thought I saw a bunch of this one on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not.
So there's a different one that I also talked about on the podcast. Okay. There's the Yasa show, which was Keep Your Hands Off Aizuken.
Yeah.
So that one is high school girls actually making an anime. This one is like the sequel, basically, where it's 5 girls who were in a high school club that made an anime, and then it, like 1 minute into the show, smash cuts to them 2.5 years later, and they're actually working in the industry, and they all kind of hate it.
Oh no! This show feels like it can be very, very biographical from the people writing it.
Oh, it's weird. So like, whereas Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin was very much about the actual artistry and like doing technical drawings and like frame by framing stuff and like key art, like it was much more on the technical side of anime. This one feels way more on the business side. And like and the realities of actually producing a show in a time frame.
Yep.
Because our main character, she's not an artist. She just works as a production assistant. So her job is just keeping track of where all these moving parts are.
Yeah.
Like, is cut 53 done? I need key art done tomorrow. Oh, we're going to filming. Oh, where's the, just all these balls in the air constantly.
All the small things that make a show come together, like your keyframes, your tweens, things like that. Somebody that's got to be in charge of knowing every single shot of every episode for the next 5 episodes.
So that's the thing in this is that there's like 4 different production assistants and they all get assigned a couple episodes. So at the start, like she's on episode 3 and this real slacker guy, he's on episode 4 or something like that. So she's really stressed and he's like behind on schedule and she knows that's going to affect him. And then like there's a whole arc about like there's an explosion at the end of episode 8. Are we going to CG it or are we going to hand draw it? And then there's a miscommunication between the episodes 8 and 9 teams where one thinks they're going to do it in 2D art and the other thinks they're going to do it in 3D. So they both do it. And then the shot is mismatched between episodes, like stupid shit like that. And then like one of the artists gets really pissy because he doesn't believe in 3D anime. So they're like, you need to draw these frames. And he's like, no, I'm going home.
Oh my God.
The other thing is like, a lot of the key artists are shown as working at home and just being delivered. Like a lot of her job is just physically delivering cells and stuff. And it's just a stressful kind of show in a weird way.
When does this show take place? Because like cells are not a thing anymore. Everything's pretty much digipaint now.
I think it seems like, again, they really don't get much into the technical side. It just shows these characters drawing on, like, doing key art a lot.
Okay.
And then she's delivering folders to people. And I think they scan those in and then eventually convert it to digital. But yeah, this is a pretty recent show. It's definitely not, like, painted cells. But I think they're still hand drawing. Or obviously they're hand drawing the keyframes. They don't go into the in-between stuff. There's one part where, like, they did send out like some shots to an accessory studio and then their server goes down.
Oh,
and they need just like, it's a very real world stress situation. And like their company president just drives 4 hours to deliver the material to them so it doesn't get delayed. Because they're like, if one step of this process goes down,
you lose your episode.
We don't want to do a recap episode. This director already had an issue with like his previous work being bogged down by like multiple recap episodes.
Oh, this sounds real fucking... Like, this sounds born of real experiences.
I'm sure it's a little bit played up because it's an anime, but also it's probably a mix of real experiences all kind of coagulated into one.
Even working in audio, even working in time-sensitive audio, I have been in situations where I have seen somebody drive 2 hours to get something somewhere. Like, I've seen those situations happen.
Yeah. There's even a bit about audio in this where, like, they're like, oh, quick, I need you. Put on these shoes and walk on this tile for me so I can record it because I need a girl who can walk in heels. And it's always weird when they're in the show, they're recording audio, and then you think, well, somebody in real life had to make these sounds so that they could make the sound of somebody recording the sound in an anime.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, okay, now walk through this puddle of water. Splish, 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 splish. No, do it more gently. Splish, 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 splish. Like, the fact that it's a show about making a show is like, there's meta layers.
There's like an added layer of like when you start thinking about this show in the context of how many of these situations occurred during the creation of this.
Because then there's one minor story arc about one of the key artists is having a lot of trouble drawing a cat realistically, and then she goes for a walk, and sees a cat. But of course, the cat you as the viewer are seeing is still an animated cat.
Oh god, yeah.
So your brain starts to break the more you think about it. Like the way they blur that reality.
I love
and,
this.
like,
I love this.
To the characters, that's their reality, but in real life, that's still an animated cat that they're treating as like, oh, real. And they're picking it up and like looking at its legs of like, oh, the cat's bent. They don't have a kneecap. I understand how a cat works now. And the cat is like, fucking piss off.
As cats are wont to do.
Yeah, well, obviously it growls and runs away.
Because that's what cats do in anime. They get angry at somebody and scratch them.
Yeah.
Because that's how you know that character's not supposed to be liked.
Oh, I mean, I immediately thought of Azumanga Daioh with the poor tall girl.
Well, yeah, like that's supposed to be the thing. Is that like, yeah, like the cats don't like them.
That cat is very stylized.
Yeah,
like it doesn't actually look. Cats don't actually look like that thing. This one is trying to look like a real cat. Mm-hmm. So like, the weird thing about this show is that it is kind of stressful, and like watching a bunch of characters be kind of unsatisfied with their job. That I'm like, maybe this isn't actually the best time to be watching this, but it is still compelling in a way that keeps me going.
Right.
God, probably the most brutal arc so far has been this one girl who. So they're the 5 high school girls at the start. They all knew each other, and then 2.5 years passed. Not all of them, they didn't stick together.
Not obviously.
Like, one of them's a voice actor who hasn't gotten any actual work yet, which is depressing. Oof. 2 of them work at the same company. One of them is like a scriptwriter who doesn't have any work, and then one of them is a siege artist who works at a different company. Mm-hmm. So it's a good company. They pay well, and she finds out all they do is model cars. So she's been working there for 3 months, and all she's ever done is model wheels.
Oh no.
And then they've took on like multiple years worth of work in the future, and all they're ever going to do is model cars. And she's basically having this existential crisis of like, is this it? Is this just what I do? This isn't why I got into animation.
Yeah.
So she has to decide if she wants to quit or not. And then they're like, well, you can't quit if you haven't even been there a year. So it's a little too real at times.
Yeah, and especially like when you consider like the Japanese culture around jobs and things like that too. Like it can just be like, oh no, you're trapped. That's heavy. That's real heavy. Sadly, I know a lot of artists that have kind of ended up in that situation where you're like, yeah, you're modeling fenders at Nissan.
Ooh. I dropped at a really bad time.
Oh, hey.
I'm back. Sorry.
Hi.
You opened the Discord tab, didn't you?
You said it's really when you consider something, and then I dropped out.
When you consider Japanese culture and with their with sort of like how they look at jobs and things like that and education, it's like, oh well, like if you fucked up, then you fucked up. You like this is your lot in life and you can't change it. Like that's sort of like a lot of the way those situations tend to either play out or get presented.
Yeah. So it's a good show, and now like I've got a couple episodes left. There's a whole thing where like the director spends like half the show working on this storyboard for the last episode. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, we have a month to make this episode now. It usually takes 2 months. Mm-hmm. We're fucked. It's just, they're going to bring it down right to the wire, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, the way I always thought about it was like, oh, they make each episode in a week. And it's obviously not. That's not how they do it.
No.
They have like 8 going at once at least, probably.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about how like, but the show starts.
They do like 5 concurrent, I think.
That sounds about right based on the show.
Yeah.
But it seems like a nightmare though, because the show starts with them airing episode 1. Mm-hmm. So it's just, okay, you're on a deadline now for everything else.
Yep.
Just, So like when the director doesn't have an ending for the show.
Oh no!
For, half the show, and they're like, it's a huge deal. He finally finishes the screenplay, and they're like, well, we've just aired episode 9. We gotta get going. Yeah, it's an interesting show and kind of a funny parallel to Keep Your Hands Off Aizuken, which is much more idealized, and this is harsher reality.
Nice.
Anime seems like a bitch to make.
Oh god, yeah. Like it's not a fun industry. Like you don't hear a lot of happy stories coming out of the anime industry, especially from individual animators.
Yeah. This show's like, it's obviously not going to get too real, because then it would be a little...
Right. Things get real bad, like Tsukiko Sagi and Paranoia Agent. That's when things get bad.
Actually, this does have a character do key art all night and then pass out the next morning. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's a little dark.
That's rough.
Yeah. So, Polly.
Yo!
You been doing anything heavy?
Yeah, heavy? Yeah? You might say. Yeah. You might say things have been a little heavier than usual. A little more louder than usual, a little more bombastic and flamboyant. I played a video game.
You played a video game?
Yeah, I did. Amazing, isn't it? That I would come to this podcast about talking about video games, usually. That I would come to this podcast, this very podcast that we're doing right now, and that I would actually have a video game to talk about. It is very weird that would happen. But it's not just your normal, ordinary video game. This game's metal as fuck. The game has so much metal in its veins that there is a health joke I can make here that I ain't got the brain to make. So you'll just have to pretend that I made a real funny iron joke or something.
Nice.
I don't, yeah. There you go. Rhett's got the, there you go. Now, John, laugh.
Huh.
There you go. Good. There you go. I played a game called Valferis.
Process it.
Played a game called Valferis. This is from a company named Steel Mantis, who a few years ago they released a game called Slain Back from Hell, which it has similar influences. Like, it's also very metal up your ass, throw up the horns, bro, maiden. Like, it's very much of that same style. Like, this is the kind of game that Danilo Diaz would look at and just have an instant boner for. Like, it's just, it's leaning very heavy into a vision that I appreciate. But, Slain Back from Hell was super not that great. It was sort of the first attempt at going for what they were going for here. It has the same kind of style graphically, but it's kind of like a slasher kind of platformy game where I watched Eric play it, and he was not having a good time. It just kind of looked way harder than it needed to be. The hitboxes looked real suspect. That game was just all over the place. So when this same company announced Valferis that had kind of like a similar look, and it's like metal up your ass, like kind of. Like, having that same style, being another platformer, it was just like, I get what you're going for here, and given that this is more of a runny gunny kind of game, so you're speaking my language, but I'm just not convinced given that pedigree of that first game. I mean, to its credit, there are people out there that do like that first game, but I just, from everything that I've seen of it, it just doesn't look super good. But this is sort of a follow-up, but not like a direct sequel or anything. It's just like, hey, we made another metal up your ass video game. This one's 2D side-scrollery. Speaking to like the metal part of it, like this, much like Slain, also the soundtrack was performed by Kurt Victor Bryant, who was a member of Celtic Frost, who metalheads would know. Like, they were a pretty extreme metal band that kind of been active on and off like the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. But I think that they kind of finally called it quits when one of their main members died in 2012, I think. But Valferis is like, it's just a very intense and brutal side-scrolling action platformer. When I hear people talk about it a lot, they kind of like, oh, it's like Contra, Metal Slug. It's like, no, like this game doesn't really play or feel anything like those games, I don't think. Like, this is a game where like the stages are kind of big, they're more varied, they're not straightforward. The pacing is really different. And this game's just got like a much heavier, chunky feel to it. Like, Rhett played it. Like, this game's got like a feel to it, right? Like,
it's very heavy. Like, Contra feels very light.
Yeah.
This is very heavy. Like, one of the things I noticed is that if your character drops about a screen, like, he'll do a little landing kneel pose
Yeah.
when you hit the ground, and you're stunned for like half a second.
Yeah, you get
like,
some
it's
screen
little things
shake
like
out of
that.
it. You get some screen shake out of it. It feels real good.
Yeah, where Contra will like never take away control even for a moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
well, I do feel a little bit of Contra in this, but it's like one of many influences. I think it's not definitely not like
this isn't just inspired by Contra. Like, there's a lot
Yeah.
of Contra, Metal Slug, Turrican. God, like it has a real Neo Geo kind of feel to it in a way. I think.
for me, I kind of thought of Mega Drive, Sega CD stuff
Yeah.
just because of the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
And, like,
absolutely.
How like, oh, we can have a metal soundtrack. Like, there's that one shmup that literally just Lords of Thunder.
Yeah, Lords
They're
of
just, like-
Thunder.
So it kind of made me think of like Lords of Turrican on the Mega CD having a soundtrack like that.
Yeah, like that, and the guitars just always going full blast, like blast beats everywhere. This is like it's metal. Like, what do you want? Like, and they lean into it so hard because like when you get a new weapon, your guy stops the fucking headbang.
That's so ridiculous. The guy said he headbangs with the new weapon.
He headbangs with the new weapon, and they do a whole animation for it. It's so good.
You know, I'm shocked your weapon is a sword and not an axe.
You get an axe.
Oh, okay. I'm not far enough in, I guess.
Yeah, you get an axe later. Yeah, you get
Okay,
like
they
this game's got weapons out the ass, dude. Like,
they're so good. There are so many weapons, and they're all so good. It drives me nuts.
like by the time I had used pretty much a little bit of everything by the time that
Yeah.
I finished the game, and like there's not a weapon that I would say is really super bad. Like there may be some that are entirely situational, like the weird tentacle gun I found.
Tentacle gun. I don't think I have that yet.
There's a weird wiggly bits tentacle gun, and they've got there's like a tentacle sword you can get.
Yeah, I got this. I'm at the sword at least.
Oh, then you've missed the battle axe.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, you can miss weapons in this game.
Yeah.
So it pays.
But there's so many.
Yeah, there's like 20 or so, I think.
There's like I have like 8 sub weapons. They're so good. There's like you start with the Gatling gun, or you get it really.
Yeah, you get that
early.
real early.
The Gatling gun, the rocket launcher, the shotgun.
The shotgun's so
like,
good.
The bendy laser, which is like kind of my favorite right now.
Yeah, I like the bendy laser too. But yeah, like this game's got
flamethrower.
Oh god,
everything
yes.
feels so good.
Yeah, like everything's got just a bunch of punch to it. Like every weapon inspires a little bit of screen shake. So like you know that like, and then like the melee feels real good. Like it's not super nuanced or anything, but it's just like but like running up and slashing once and taking out like 5 enemies at once and seeing the blood and giblets fly everywhere feels real fucking good. Also, like this won't be on sale by the time that this podcast most people hear it, but it is on sale right now on Steam for $12.50. So,
is it about to end?
It's probably going to end tomorrow, I believe. Yeah. So, but so yeah, like it's just these fun little levels that you explore. I like to think of it as like if Doom was a side scroller, this is kind of what it would be. I think. Like I think that it has that same metal vibe. It's got the same kind of like just hellish demonic enemies that you're like laying waste to. Have you got to the point, have you got to the point where they teach you parrying?
Not really.
Oh yeah, there's some real good melee stuff they get into with parrying later that feels real good. It's got that Dust and Elysian Tail kind of parry where when you do it, it's like boom, and you get this big slowdown when it happens, and it just feels incredible.
Yeah, I fought some enemies with swords, but they didn't feel quite as dusty when you countered them.
Oh yeah, like
but that might be it.
Yeah,
there's some enemies that like the regular sidearms don't work on.
Yeah,
you have to use the sword or the side or the special weapon.
Yeah,
those guys are real fuckers.
Yeah, a lot of this game is a real fucker.
Yeah, it's also very hard.
Don't go into this game thinking it's going to be like this game will probably frustrate you at a few points. It's very difficult, but I think that the way that it handles its difficulty, it's very iterative. Like it'll introduce a concept and then it'll pile something else on. Take something away, or contextualize it in a different way. And all the bosses are just really cool, and like there's a lot of variety. And being able to like power up and use whatever weapons you want seems to like it would make that interesting. Like So that you never feel like, oh, no, I have to go back and get the rocket launcher to deal with this guy. Like, I never ran into a point where I felt like my loadout wasn't good. Or if I just went into a boss with a weapon I didn't like, I still felt like I could tough it out, and I didn't really have that many problems.
Well, plus the checkpointing is very good. And
checkpointing, I like the checkpoint system because it rewards you for skipping checkpoints. So you get like these little tokens. You get resurrection tokens that you can drop into a save point, or you can drop into these little waypoints along every map. And every map's got like a shit ton of checkpoints. And you drop it in, and then like when you die, that's where you'll go next. And that's also how you play around with your arsenal as well. As you drop in a resurrection token. So you always have a number of resurrection tokens you have, and a max number of resurrection tokens. And every time you hit the max number of resurrection tokens, you get a little bit of a health increase that's permanent, that lasts for the rest of the game. So it invites you to kind of play risk reward, where it's just like, okay, like I'm gonna dump a resurrection idol, I'm gonna use it, and then I'm gonna get max again and get another little itty bitty bit of health, and you can do it. You like, the game is very generous in letting you do that, and all it takes is just skipping 1 or 2 checkpoints. And I played a lot of this game by skipping like 2 and 3 checkpoints at a time, because it's not that hard to learn the areas. They're all pretty fast, and despite the fact that this game is kind of lumbering and a little slower than you would expect from the type of game that it is. The time between checkpoints and the size of the levels never feels like it's like, come on, get it over with.
Yeah. It's just these nice little bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, and every level, like where there's like a clear hard level cut, like every level has its own like new and unique set of gimmicks that are fun to play around with. And there was like only one time where there was like an area in the middle of the game where it was like, I'm not 100% here for this gimmick because it doesn't feel super good. And I think even the devs realized that, because it's short and it doesn't even have a boss.
Is it the robot?
No, it's there's one a little bit later.
Okay.
That I was just like,
I'm probably about to hit that.
Yeah, I think
I'm in
you
like
are.
the temple right now.
Okay. Yeah, but like I hit that area and it was just like a little, but then like it was over in literally 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, they didn't even put a boss here. They were just like, okay, we understand. Like, this was a fun little diversion. We didn't need to try and make another big 20-minute level out of.
Yeah.
Are they separate levels?
It's all levels.
Yeah, like it's all levels.
Cool.
You can't go back once
like
you've
that.
finished one. There's like very clear, like the levels are big, and like there can be transitions in the middle of levels, but like when you hit a very hard level break, they'll give you like a little pop up that says like, oh, now you're in the refinery. And there's a bit of a story going on. Like it's not too bad. It's kind of what you expect out of this kind of game.
Not too many words getting in the way.
It's kind of a game where you can skip the text boxes.
You can skip the text box. I know I was giving some shit about that.
Yeah.
They're very inoffensive, and like if you accidentally go into a text box, you can literally just press start and then like go into reload at your last checkpoint, and it'll just skip it. It'll just skip. Like, it seems faster to do that than skip through the text. And I think that they mostly only talk to you at checkpoints, so you can just immediately reload the checkpoint in the middle of the dialogue. Yeah, like this game's super good.
Yeah.
I don't. There's not a lot I can complain about with this game. Like,
cool.
It's everything I like in this kind of game. It's big, it's loud, it's chunky, it's hard in all the right ways. And man, you just got to admire it going through like this vision that they're very dedicated to. Like, you can tell that this isn't just a gimmick for them. It's like they like things that are real fucking metal, and they made a game that feels like a big loud metal album.
Yeah.
Like I said, like it gave me like if Doom was a side scroller, but just kind of steeped even more into those heavy metal trappings.
The funny thing about that comparison is that this is also in space.
Yeah, it's also in space.
It's a space station like infected by demonic forces and aliens and shit.
Yeah, like it disappeared and then reappeared somewhere else, but now it's all infected, like, and you don't know why. Yeah, like this game is super good. Just good meaty boss fights all the time. Like the regular enemy designs are just very simple, smart. They get in, they do the thing that they're supposed to do to just annoy the piss out of you, and it works real well. Like there's some enemy types in that game where I'm just like, no, I don't want to see you. I don't need more of you guys.
It's when you hold down that special button.
Oh, Man, this game really does. Reward playing super aggressive. I think. Because I feel like most of the time, like when I got stuck somewhere, I would just be like, "Fuck it." I took off the brakes and I went full fucking ham, just blowing all of my special ammo, which is easy to get back by you just like if you want to get special weapon ammo back, you just use your sword a little bit, and they give you a ton of shit at all times to make sure that you're able to fully power yourself back up. Again, like everything about it is super smart. Like I'm definitely going to be playing through Full Metal mode, which is it's the game again, but it's harder. But you get to keep all of your weapons that you've leveled up, and you can get more blood tokens to level up all the other weapons. So, and I'm gonna try and get that speedrun achievement as well. Beat the game in 2 hours. It's gonna be rough because that game. Man, like my first playthrough, it was not the most graceful looking thing in the world, but knowing what I feel that game kind of rewards very aggressive play a bit more now. Like I think that I can probably get a better handle on that. But yeah, I definitely want to beat Full Metal mode and at least try to get the 2 hour speedrun achievement mode. So that game still got some life left for me. I got about 7 hours out of it for a full playthrough. Cool. So. Yeah, like if this is a jam, if this sounds like something like I think that this is a game that could probably easily be Sockscast approved once John plays it. Yeah, it's just I think it's got the right kind of. It's really cool that you've.
It's really cool that you played 2 like chunky action games recently. Like the one you brought up last podcast too was that
Hunt Down
Flashback.
Yeah, Hunt Down. Yeah, like
that's a.
Yeah, that one's very cool. Amiga feeling, and this one is more like it's got that kind of Genesis grit to it, I guess. Yeah. Like I would definitely say
being a little more weightless is sort of a standard for a lot of action design. And these days,
everything tries to be too snappy and responsive, like kind of like Super Metroid versus the ones after it.
Yeah.
I feel that. So that's a part of it that interests me a lot, and also it just looks cool. It's funny because this came out around the same time as Blazing Chrome, and
it did.
Kind of like, whatever to that.
Yeah, I had that reaction.
It's like coming back.
I had that reaction because I saw Eric play Slain, and I just that game does not look good. But then I watched a lot of videos on Valfaris before picking it up. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This game looks like the truth to me. This is and absolutely like this is the shit.
I had heard good things about this last year. I just didn't pick it up. But for some reason, it got into my head that this was a Metroidvania.
Huh.
And it just isn't at all.
No.
So, like, for the first couple levels, I kept waiting for the turn where it was going to be like, okay, now you're in the main base and it's going to be non-linear and turn into upgrades and shit, and it's just like that never happens, and I'm just like, oh, it's just levels. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
But I never felt it outstated.
Nice, I think.
Yeah. Like I never felt it outstayed its welcome either. Like this game ended exactly where I wanted it to. Like I felt it like when I finished the final boss, like like that's a good place to end. There's no need for more. We're good. But yeah, like Valfaris definitely like. It's unfortunately probably going to be off sale by the time that this podcast goes out, but I still think that it would be worth. Like I would pay $24.99 for this game. Like it's good. It's fantastic.
Cool.
John.
Dope.
How's it going, John? Hi. John Thayer.
Doing well. Let's take a big sip of water.
Do it. Take a big old sip of water. I'm gonna take a big old sip of water myself.
All right.
All right.
All three.
You got it. Oh, I'm hydrated now.
Because I played more RPG Maker games.
Oh, boy.
Oh, did you? I didn't see that coming. Okay, John.
Post them in the chat. Do y'all know Temmie at all?
Oh,
I know Temmie, yeah.
From Undertale.
Yeah, Undertale.
Temmie the Undertale.
Yeah.
For character.
Temmie Undertale.
Temmie's a person.
Yeah.
Timmy's also a person.
Temmie is also a person.
Temmie's also a person. And who worked on Undertale. And has released 2 RPG Maker games, one last year and one this year. The first is about a half hour long, I think, and the second is about 2 hours long. Both free. I posted them in the chat.
Oh, I've seen these because one of them made the Game of the Decade list. I remember making a banner for it.
Yep. Yep. The other one was out of the decade, so it was no longer eligible.
Oh,
Yeah.
The second one is the one with the girlfriend that I sent you. I sent you that art. I was like, hey, this looks like a poly girlfriend to me. And he said, yep.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
My sensors are getting increasingly refined. So, I thought so a big thing with both of these games, they are full of original full screen art, which is a huge thing which they are RPG Maker worlds you explore, and it's one of those things where a bunch of stuff has text to examine. They're full of characters. The two games are very different. The first one all takes place in one house, and it's very pretty intimate and claustrophobic even. It's also pretty tense. The second is a very large map, and the whole game is just exploring this large map and meeting all these characters and doing these little side things. It's actually structured like B-Swing, where at any time you can just go back home and go to sleep and end the game. It's just going around and exploring this cool world and talking to people. And again, both games are just full of original art. The first one actually has several original animated sequences. And they also both have a bunch of good music, including some Toby Fox tunes, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I had a weird arc with these. They are both endlessly charming. The second one especially. They just are full of they were very obviously made with a lot of love, and there's a ton of care put into this setting and world. And if that's enough, and the characters are all extremely endearing, and I like a lot of them already, and I care about a lot of them already.
That's
usually
usually
that's
good.
enough, if that's enough for you,
That's typically
jump
fine
right
for
in.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Neither of these games are advertised as prologues. I knew Escape Chasm was a prologue to a larger story because people had talked about it. I thought that Dweller's Empty Path was going to be the first big chapter, but ultimately nothing happens in it. You are going around talking to people, and it alludes to several future conflicts that will occur in another game or comic or story of some sort that will exist someday, maybe.
Gotcha.
And neither game is really advertised as that. And I knew Escape Chasm was going to be and Escape Chasm, it has a pretty strong opening conflict and story. You are in this home, and your parents aren't there, and you don't know where everybody is, and the house, and you're too afraid to go outside. And you're alone, and you're a little kid, and it's really scary. So it's actually a pretty tense little game, and the payoff is really strong, even though it is, again, okay, now this is the starting conflict of the story. And I was like, okay, yep, I'm invested. And then I went into the second game okay, time for the game that Escape Chasm was the prelude to.
Right.
But again, it's 2 hours and almost on the dot for me. And it just sets up 5 conflicts.
Oh no! I know where this is going.
That will happen, and then none of them happen because again, the game can end at any point. You just go to sleep.
Yeah.
So nothing can actually happen. And that's it. It's just okay, we've set up all this stuff, and then right at the end, it alludes back to the conflict that was set up at the end of Escape Chasm. Yep, we're still thinking about this one.
God, man, this kind of making me mad now. I think I know where a certain conversation erupted from.
Yeah.
On Twitter last
and
week.
it's just like
I don't like the promise
You
of
didn't
things
tell
like
me.
this.
yeah, because I don't know if you're gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about. I don't know if Temmie's a storyteller that I am going to. I don't know Temmie's identity as a storyteller. I don't know if Temmie will pay things off. I don't know anything about that because I haven't played a completed Temmie story.
Yeah.
And asking a person to sit down and play your free game is a tremendous ask. It is a big deal when someone is willing to make that investment.
Yeah.
I deeply appreciate it whenever a player jumps in to one of my stories like that, and I try to repay that by giving them more than what they expect.
Same. Very same.
Yeah, and it almost feels like rude to me.
I don't
to put a game out like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's I keep chewing on these because I feel so like it feels kind of unreasonable of me to be feeling this negative about games that are so charming.
Right. I get what you're coming from though, because like this comes from a culture of creating not really games but just prototypes of everything, because that's kind of like the RPG Maker meme is that like nobody actually makes a game, they just kind of, you know, they make little prototypes and then never make a game. And I think that like
screenshots on Reddit.
Yeah, and post screenshots on Reddit that are very pretty but are ultimately never going to amount to anything. And now like you're kind of looking at a game version of that when you're talking about a storyteller that you're not 100% sure you can put that kind of faith in.
Yeah, it'd be different if Temmie had put out like a 30-minute game that told a complete story,
Yeah.
and I felt really good about it.
Yeah.
Instead, it's here are two big games that are leading up to games that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know you. I don't have any reason to believe that this is going anywhere. Like except for that these games are fairly confident and well made and charming.
Mm-hmm.
But that's no guarantee that I should be invested in future stories. And if I just had a complete arc here, then I could have been like, okay, yeah, I like this. And you can do that even in the context of a serial story, because I think Deltarune does that. It takes you on a full, basically like 2 to 3 hour arc. And then at the end, there's 20 minutes of setup for the big conflict of the next the big game.
Like this sounds like it's just constantly edging you.
It's just edging me for 2 hours. This is the 20-minute chunk at the end of Deltarune. But that's the whole game.
But that's
the empty path.
Yeah, that's not good.
I know. I remember being completely shocked at how complete of a thing Deltarune ended up feeling like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it didn't just tease you with, all right, we're going to do more stuff with these Undertale characters you like. It was, okay, here's all new characters taking you on a completely new game. And it's going to have a cool final boss, and you're going to go on this arc with this weird bratty prince, and you're going to like him at the end of it, and it's going to make you feel good. And then we're going to tease this weird shit with Kara and everything, and you're going to freak the hell out, and you're going to be really excited to play this in 5 years.
If he had just released that as a Deltarune, that would have just been obnoxious.
It would have been obnoxious because the purpose of it was to sell you on the idea that you could make an Undertale 2 and have it be something good.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe that. And then he sold me on that.
Yeah, like that's the brilliance of what Deltarune did. Is that like I think that he had to have knowledge that most people thought you can't make a sequel to that. And it's just like,
and again, it wasn't the first game he put out. The first game he put out wasn't a promise of a future conflict.
Exactly.
It wasn't. I think the Lonely Wolf Treat games strike a really nice balance with this because every one of them ends with "to be continued." They're always setting up future events.
Yeah.
But each game also goes out of its way to set up a pretty strong little story.
Yeah, each one tells a full story in and of itself. It may not be fully self-contained because it still needs those threads from stories before it, but it's still a full, satisfying story within that world and with those characters.
Yeah, and the weakest games in that series are the ones that feel the most dependent on the serial nature without necessarily building to like a big resolution within the context of the game itself, which was like a game like the Mochi and Frosting felt like, okay, this is kind of the next episode of the TV show instead of
like you have to get to that point at some point,
a
obviously.
full thing. Yeah, which is fine, but like the strongest ones are like the first game, the Moxie game, the Trick game.
Oh, the Trick game is amazing.
Explosive.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And you can take a player on a complete journey even in the context of a serial story.
Yeah.
And I'm just frustrated that this did not. It feels a little bit. That's what I mean by it feeling a little bit rude. Like I feel the fact that it wasn't advertised as Chapter 1 also makes me kind of feel like I was tricked into jumping in.
You put in 2 hours in these games, and all you've got is like the
almost 3
hours, and all you've got is sort of the maybe promise of something later.
Of something happening later, and you can't, and also a full half hour of Dweller's Empty Path is an extended shitpost part, and it's like, okay, this is fun, this is funny, but you can't enjoy the whole game as just a wander around shitpost game because it's all desperately wanting you to be invested in these conflicts.
That's such weird tone shifting and not, man, yeah, like this sounds like a real it sounds like a first effort, like somebody not really understanding sort of the way you kind of have to keep somebody engaged with a story, or
it's like somebody who assumes that people are going to stay invested because they have that name recognition.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I didn't want to say it because I think that makes me sound rude and or jealous, but definitely it sounds like I'm trading on my name here.
Yeah.
Do you think
and again, endlessly charming. Love all these characters. I was really ready for more of these characters. And I'm gonna probably jump into the third thing when it comes out.
If the third thing is another tease.
Oh, I think you have to tap
then
out.
I'm fucking done.
Yeah. Like something
Do you think these are just more kind of a showcase for the art?
Or it's a showcase for the OCs at least.
Yeah.
Because they're all because the writing is all very cute and strong.
Okay.
But it's cute. Like that's the thrust of it. Except again, constantly sowing all these seeds for, this is gonna be real cool. This is gonna be something fancy. But like at this point, the finished story would need to be like, it feels like it would need to be like an 8-hour long thing to pay off all of these threads in a way that would be satisfying. Like which is pretty buck wild, I think, especially for again a first project.
Yeah, just.
So Dweller's Empty Path is really spending like 2 hours setting up and setting up and setting up.
Yeah, if it was the prologue of a 10-hour game, it would be fantastic. It would be ridiculously strong, actually, as a deliberately slow burn introduction. I think
it's Trails Chapter 1.
Yeah, it's Trails prologue. It's not Trails Chapter 1 because Chapter 1 has a climax.
You're right.
Okay, good point.
It is it's not Trails in the Sky FC taking you on a finished journey and then teasing you with like a strong cliffhanger ending. It is the prologue of Trails in the Sky FC.
Ugh.
Yeah. This game's just playing with the balls and not touching the shaft at all.
It's not touching the shaft.
Oh my god.
I just want to fucking come and I can't. And yeah, I don't.
You can't recommend them right now because they're just gonna blue ball you.
Yes. I can't recommend them right now because it's not a story. I have no reason to believe it's gonna pay off in any meaningful way. So as cute as it is, if it was the first chapter of a long game, then I would be like, oh my god, y'all, I am so excited to play more of this game because this is so good. But it's not.
Yeah.
The rest of it doesn't exist. And who knows when it'll exist. So
yep.
Shrug.
That
I did wash the taste out of my mouth there because again, tons of respect.
Right.
Fantastic confidence and gorgeous. But that's not what I want out of any game jumping in. Now on the other hand, what I quite like, these are my last things.
Okay.
Are these 2 Nami games I played right afterwards?
Oh boy, we follow John on Twitter. We know a thing or two about one of these.
I played Contract Demon, which is a spin-off centering around the witch that summons a demon in the second Treat game.
It's real good. It's really good.
Yep. It's really good.
It's a real great little story. I love it. Because it's such a
It's
weird,
really- this is
fun
a-
one-off. It's such a weird, fun one-off thing in the second Treat game. It's because it's like, where did that come from? Like,
Yeah.
why is that here? And then you play this, and it's like, okay, I get it. That's very adorable.
I'm glad. You play this, and it's a half-hour spin-off of this contract demon who is summoned by a witch, pretending to be an angel. And the contract is, please be my friend.
Yeah, it's
like,
so good.
She's like, okay. But then she's like, the angel, the demon is like super chuny about
Oh, yeah.
everything. They're just like, I am the fearsome demon from the fires of hell. I'm here to claim your soul. And then the second they get challenged on it at all, just turns into a flustered mess.
Backs the fuck back down.
It's like, oh, shut up. I'm sorry. I don't know. And this story follows up. It kind of fills in some of the mechanics of the contract demon livelihood and their relationship. And it's just, it is the beginning of a relationship and all the warm, fuzzy feelings that has as a 30-minute game.
Yeah.
And it's horny in like a very cute, nice way.
Yeah.
It's where it's like, it's not like leaning too hard on it. It's just like giving you all these like warm, fuzzy feelings, like, oh my god, we held hands, but like not like in a twee way, I guess. In that, it struck very true for me. Like, oh yeah, this is kind of what that feels like. Oh, this is nice.
Like,
so
this felt
I
very
was
honest
very
and
satisfied.
written. This is another one of those things where it's just like, felt very honest, felt written from experience. Like, it has a genuine vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. Eleni's great.
Yep.
The Angel Witch is fantastic.
So good.
Because she is just like pushing forward. She's
Yeah.
like, okay, I am on a mission.
Yeah, like, there's just, like, there's no stop.
Yep. I am going to court you.
Yep. It's so good.
Yep. And Camilla very much wants it, but is not clear on how to express that.
Yep.
And has to figure out a lot of stuff. It's extremely good.
Yep.
I immediately was like, was there an 18+ spin-off comic for this? And there was not.
No.
And especially since she put in the end of the art book, like, oh, maybe I'll do a spin-off comic, 18+ spin-off comic for this one. And it has not materialized
Never
yet.
happened.
So it goes.
Okay.
The second game I played was Syrup and the Ultimate Sweet, which is in the running for like maybe favorite single Nami game ever.
Can I
I've not
read the
played-
content advisory on this?
Yes, please, Rhett.
Content advisory. Candy nudity. In some paths, she gets eaten. In some paths, characters die.
It's very good.
I sold this one to y'all as much hornier than I think it actually is.
In some paths, she gets eaten.
I'm biting my fists, like laughing. Okay, so this game is extremely cute, and I would even say sweet. So this came out before the Treat games. So again, before the big serial story got started, which
A
itself
good
was
pedigree.
we got a really strong pedigree with like a couple, including a couple that aren't on the page anymore, but a very strong 1 hour VN. It has 10 endings. There's a lot of choices. Apparently,
Eat
this
or do not
updated-
eat.
It came out. It just came out on Switch.
I-
It got ported.
Right, this is on Switch
This
now.
is
Like
on
a real,
Switch!
It's
That
a real
just-
video game now.
How is this? Like,
Um,
I love that this is the first thing of hers that gets to a Switch, and not like the Treat games, which seems to be kind of like what people are mostly here for.
It's also on PS4,
Oh my-
Xbox One, and PlayStation Vita.
I
Yep.
thought you were going to say Stadia, and I was going to lose my mind. You can
Nope,
stream
it's
this
on-
1 hour visual novel and use like 10 gigs of data.
It is on PS Vita in 2020. And the updated re-release has an endings guide so that you can
Oh, nice.
click a button to just get
cool.
how to get the ending. I played it and found about 7 of them just naturally, and then I looked at the last 3. And it's just one of those things where there's a lot of little hidden stats going on. So,
I wonder how many more Vita games there are going to be if this is like in the running for last Vita game.
That had to have been sort of the mentality of putting this on Vita. It's like, maybe I can be famous for being the last.
It has like 2 reviews on PSN.
Aww.
Like, hey, any reviews for this Vita release? So this VN. This is just candy-coated happiness in a 1-hour VN. It is about a very cold-hearted candy alchemist who lives in a town full of magic, and she's the only person that is devoted to making candy purely through science. And everyone else is making candy with magic, and she makes some of the most delicious candies in town, but she refuses to go out and make friends with all those weird magic-loving people. And then she goes down to her basement, her alchemy basement, and finds a golem made of candy. So a conscious candy girl.
Nice.
And then you immediately start making choices and things progress from there. Usually she'll join your shop as an assistant, even though she's put off because she's made of magic and she doesn't like that. And the whole arc is just sort of like, can Syrup's frozen heart be melted? Can Syrup make new friends? Finally. And it's just extremely sweet.
I think the cat girl is the best girl.
There is a cat girl route. There is a cat girlfriend route.
She's very good.
She's very good. So there is a route where basically everybody else gets ignored and you become friends with the cat girl.
That's the best. That's the best.
It's extremely good. The main arc of the game you'll go through in like a half hour, and then you can just go back and see all the different choices and fill in the different things. But that first sort of main ending is just such a strong journey on its own. And then I had a fun time just sort of seeing all these different sides to the characters after that. The candy girl's extremely cute. Everybody's extremely cute. It's a bunch of very good designs. And the candy girl also she's like, "What is my purpose?" And she's like, "Well, you're candy. Candy gets eaten." And she's like, "Okay, then please eat me." And then she spends the rest of a chunk of the rest of the game trying to convince Syrup to eat her. It's very Dragon Maid. It's very good. So I quite enjoyed this one. I think it's less horny than Contract Demon, despite certain overtures being pretty strong. But it's also feels a little more substantive because it's all new. It's these new characters. It takes you on this full journey. I had a really good time with it. I very heartily recommend Syrup and the Ultimate Suite. That might be my. Let me look at my arc of all these new games I've played. This one and Labyrinth are probably the short runners for my favorites of the like 20 itch games I played in the last week.
Right.
It's your game of the show.
Yep, and that's it. That's all my stuff.
I have one last thing.
Okay.
Me and Beepner. Yeah. We had a little stream. We streamed a fun little game. We streamed a game called Dab on Darkness.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
So this is the next in line from the Sakuya Izui gives you advice and dabs creator, and it's just I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it like a whole bunch or anything. It's just like this is like another one of those things where it's somebody putting out some positive energy in the world because they feel that that's what the world needs. And I left a comment, like, you know, they wanted feedback on their forum, and I left that comment, and that person was like, yeah, like it's just a shitty time right now. Like, you know, and this one in particular is a lot more encouraging and telling, like, you know, like if you got some heavy issues going on, like maybe start looking for actual real help. Like, talk to people. Like, maybe see if you can get some professional help. Like, kind of like it feels like the Toho game might have been kind of like the sort of practice for like, can I make this and people kind of get where I'm coming from? And this kind of feels like what they really wanted to make. You know, which kind of deals a little more specifically with a lot of the real negative things that you get stuck in your own head that can get you down. And I think that much like the Sakuya Izuyoi game, like it has to play it a little vague in terms of the things that you're going through, or and all of that. But the advice is coming from a good place, and I think that even if something like that gets even one person to seek some kind of help or assistance of what they're going for, I think that it's really awesome that something like that exists, and that there are people out there in the world that just want to put out good energy. And I thought that was really sweet. So yeah, I thought it just deserved a mention. It's that's fine. It's easy to look at those games as kind of meme games, but the more you kind of read the dialogue, especially Dab on Darkness. That one got really heavy a number of times in ways that I don't think that any of us were expecting. So when it started getting out, I was like, oh, okay, you're this isn't a joke to you. You were doing this because it's something that you actually feel passionate about and wanted to kind of wrap that advice in a cute little game form. So I thought that was really nice. I think that little things like that being out there, and somebody that obviously tried to come from a good place.
Enjoyed that stream.
Yeah, it definitely remember when it was getting dark and people in the chat were like, okay, this is a little more uncomfortable than the Toho game. This one's literally just a lot of the very real bad things you probably think about yourself sometimes, that just that can creep in and make you feel real bad. And obviously the solution is to dab on that bitch.
Okay, so you do dab.
You deliver the meanest, fattest.
Yeah, there's a fat dab.
It is your meanest, fattest dab, and you're the one doing it this time. It's not Sakuya doing it. It's you doing it because you are dabbing on the darkness which resides inside you. It's you winning the day, and I think that that's a really, really cool message to put out there. Yeah, you hope little things like that will help somebody feel a little better, and I think that's cool. So kudos to the creator.
It made me feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it definitely made me feel warm and fuzzy in a way that the Toho game didn't, just because I felt that there was still a lot of meme energy there, and it was just trying to be funny most of the time. So I was a little skeptical of how serious are you about this advice? Because I can see this being a real shit post and putting because I would put that kind of effort into a shit post. But Dab on Darkness is a lot more real about those kinds of things, I think. And its heart's in the right place. So it just kind of showed me there's actually a person behind this that actually really cares. And that's a real cool fucking thing because, Lord, it's 2020. We need it.
I think it's interesting that Sakuya Izuyoi Gives You Advice and Dabs came out in February this year.
Yeah.
That's a world away. And Dab on Darkness came out in June, which was
yeah.
Oh, a different world.
Yeah, we were...
Oh my god, Sakuya was this year?
Yeah.
Both of them were this year.
Yeah, both of them were. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We actually disqualified Sakuya from Game of the Decade.
Yeah.
I think somebody listed
it. Yeah.
Nope, it's 2020. Sorry.
Yeah.
I slunk 10 inches into my chair. I just dissolved into my chair when you told me that. I'm just oh god.
February, I know, right?
So
yeah. That's God. And it's not going to be over in 2021, people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It ends November 3rd or whenever. It's just going to magically go away.
It's all going to be fixed. Hey, no, it's gonna be okay on February 3rd. Because that's when E9 comes out.
There you go. I got Cold Steel coming up at the end of next month. So nice. That's going to help.
Stay inside, play Trails in the Sky.
Yeah, there you go. It's the best advice. That's their best marketing
campaign. We're all going to be playing E9, and there's going to be a vaccine at least being rolled out to high-risk people, and Trump's not going to be the president. And that's what's going to happen on February 3rd, and it's going to be very nice.
Hey, listen.
Build towards that.
You'll probably get 1 out of 3 at least.
We're going to get... I'll take 2 out of 3. I'll take 2 out of 3. I'll take that. Please, at least 2 out of 3, please.
Please. Hey, and if it has to be 2 out of 3, delay E9.
Yeah, delay E9.
You can delay E9. That's good.
Yeah, I will take delay E9 if we only get 2 out of 3 here. I can take that. I will shoulder that burden.
If we got all 3 out of 3.
It'd be great.
I would love it if we got all 3.
It'd be great.
Oh, wouldn't that be good?
So I think that's podcast, people.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out. It's been absolutely a blast. Of course, thank you again for the bits and subscriptions. All are very much appreciated and go toward my Moon Pie Fund, as always. John Thayer, where can the folks on the internet find you?
Posting the other itch games that I liked that I played in the chat.
Oh, jeez.
And on farawaytimes.itch.io.
Rhett.
Just dig on through these.
Watching Symphogear and posting Hibiki art on my Twitter. All the Hibiki art. Literally.
Okay, those were the two big ones.
And you can find me muting Rhett on Twitter.
Aww.
And remember, we're the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. Stick around, folks. Let's see who we're going to send you off to host to before we get out of here. Who's streaming on Sunday night? Who does that? Oh, hey, come by tomorrow. We're going to be starting Sumi Horoboshi, Higurashi tomorrow evening. So that'll be starting at about 6:30. I'm probably going to do two chapters because I'm really excited to get started. So
Rent a game.
All right. Let's see. Oh God! I'm just gonna I got a friend who deserves it. He's tried for partner. And he's been trying for it hard. He's doing a 12-hour challenge. He's learning Rygar on the NES. My friend Cyphrin. So we're gonna send you all on over there. So be sure to say hi to Cyph for me, and we will catch you folks next time. Take it easy, everyone. Much love.
Lots of love.